of the Edgartown District Court. I submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council. So welcome, Mr. Manning, and if you'd like, you can introduce your guest.
Yes, my guest and my witness for this morning's hearing is Clerk Susan L. Moran. She's the sitting Superior Court Clerk of the elected Barnstable Superior Court Clerk. I've worked with Susan for just over a year now, and she's been very kind and very helpful throughout the whole process.
Excellent. Your other guest?
This is my longtime partner, Mary Kerwin. We've been together for 20 years. We live in North Falmouth and share 3 dogs together.
Excellent. All right. So Clerk, thank you for coming. Thank you for your service in the Senate and as a Clerk Magistrate in Barnstable. And we're ready to hear from you.
Thank you, councilors. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And, you know, this administration is known to really think about things in teamwork, sort of sports analogies. So when I came to spend a minute or two in talking about Rob Manning, the first thing that came to mind is that he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time of what the public service example of a lawyer is. For the G, a go-getter, a team leader, reliable. Rob will be at court even if the weather prevents mail delivery. Oh, he's organized. He prepares, he anticipates. A, he's affable. Everyone feels served well when Rob is in the house. Judges, the public, pro se folks, attorneys, every litigant. The T, he thinks from all angles, comprehensively. I think with all of the outreach and investigation and research that you all have done, I received so many comments about what an incredibly nice guy is. You know, is he going to be able to get to the vineyard? Rob worked at the vineyard. He has contacts all over. My only pause is that I really will miss having him as my right hand in the way that he lifts up my ability to manage the Barnstable Superior Court. So thank you for your efforts, and I'm proud to present Robert Manning.
Thank you. If you're going to miss him too much, we can just say no.
I thought we had that conversation.
All right.
Can I ask you one question?
Yes.
Yes, is there anybody on the Cape that doesn't like this guy? It's ridiculous.
Not at all. And you're absolutely right.
Same here. Same here. All right. Tell us why we should vote yes, please.
Thank you very much. I'd like to present my personal statement if that's permissible at this time. So good morning, members of the Governor's Council. Thank you for your time today and prior to this hearing for reviewing my application and speaking with me. I appreciate your time, dedication, and consideration. I would like to express my gratitude to Governor Maura Healey and Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll. The trust they have put in me is truly humbling. I would also like to thank the Chief Legal Counsel, Jesse Boodoo, Deputy Legal Counsel, Dara Kesselheim and their staff, as well as Sonia Altamirano and her team for shepherding me through this process. I would like to also acknowledge and thank the members of the Judicial Nominating Commission for their dedication in reviewing judicial applications. Finally, I would like to thank my family, friends, and colleagues who have provided unwavering support throughout this process. Superior Court Clerk Susan Moran, who you just heard from, has been most kind with her insights and time. Thank you for your certainly appreciate it. Members of the council, I know you've learned much about my personal life by reviewing the materials provided to you. So I would like to begin by telling you a little about my personal background. I was born and raised in Hyannis, Mass. I have 6 older sisters and 2 younger brothers. My parents, both from South Boston, moved to the Cape after my father completed his GI-funded education and accepted a teaching and coaching position in Provincetown in 1952. My parents moved to Hyannis in 1960 when my father accepted a job teaching math at Barnstable High School. I learned the worth of hard work from both my parents. My mother kept our home in perfect working order with her organizational skills and love. My father, in addition to teaching and coaching, worked 2 part-time jobs and kept our family cared for. He worked as a summer police officer and a security guard on weekends at a private estate. It is from both my parents that I learned the lessons of caring for people in the community. My father looked after many of his students and student athletes, whether that meant extra time in the classroom or the athletic field. He was compassionate and caring both in and out of the classroom. I look back with gratitude and appreciation for the examples my parents set. I have been given many great opportunities in my life, and I have tried to use them to benefit myself and others. From an early age, I recognized the disparity of wealth that existed on Cape Cod. When my parents provided us with everything we needed as a family, I held a series of summer jobs that exposed me to the more affluent. While most were kind and respectful, others were not as nice. As a young and impressionable person, that had a huge impact on how I would interact with people for the rest of my life. I went to college at Lewis and Clark College in Portland, Oregon. I held jobs while at school during all semester breaks. After graduating from college, I was in a quandary as to what path I wished to take in my life. I considered teaching and coaching, but was unsure if that I considered teaching and coaching, but was unsure if that was right for me. I knew I wanted to give something back to the community, but I was unsure what form that would take. I was fortunate to have a full-time job that allowed me to go to law school at night. That turned out to be a choice that has led me to a fulfilling life of public service. I've been able to help many people throughout my 32 years in the legal system. I was fortunate enough to get a job with the Cape and Islands District Attorney's Office after passing the bar. I spent 3 years in that office, learned the importance of district court. The district court, being the court of first impression, has the ability to have a huge impact on people's lives. It is the court where most people first encounter the court system. Often people come to the district court when they're in crisis, whether it is a mental health crisis, a housing crisis, or a criminal crisis. Everyone who steps through that door, through the doors of the district court, should be treated with dignity and respect. When I was working as an assistant district attorney, I was able to see how acts of kindness can impact people and develop respect for the court system. While working in the DA's office, I was introduced to the islands of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. Even though I was raised in Hyannis, I didn't have the opportunity to visit those islands. As a young ADA, I was tasked with covering the islands. Lack of resources is a real concern for year-round residents in seasonal communities. As Clerk Magistrate of Edgartown District Court, I will identify community resources that will best serve everyone who comes into the district court. Once in private practice, I sought ways to help the indigent population. I joined the bar advocate list and practiced in the district court and juvenile. I was also on the mental health list. During that time, I took private criminal and civil cases. I was also asked to take over all the court-appointed juvenile cases on Martha's Vineyard by the administrator of that bar advocate program. I did that for many years, and it was work that I truly enjoyed. In 2003, I applied for and was hired as an assistant clerk in Barnstable District Court. I enjoyed that job immensely. I quickly learned that the front counter of a district court is oftentimes the most frantic place in the courthouse. People with all types of questions and all types of moods must be put at ease. I enjoyed the hectic pace of being a district clerk magistrate, from doing all the small claims hearings to show cause hearings and the speeding ticket appeals. My current position of first assistant clerk in Barnstable Superior Court allows me to continue helping the public when they seek answers from the court system. In each of these positions I have held, my greatest satisfaction has come from helping people. That is what a clerk magistrate position is. It is a job focused on helping everyone who comes into the court, regardless of their circumstances. If confirmed, I will take with me to the position of clerk magistrate the compassion, empathy, work ethic, and knowledge my life experience has given me. I will be committed to the fair, respectful, and dignified treatment of every person who enters the Edgartown District Court seeking justice or guidance or where to turn for help. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much. Anyone else here to speak? Any opposed? Anybody out there, Terry?
There was a line of security. Let me check.
All right, Counselor Ziegler.
Thank you. Congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking the time to speak with me prior to today. I just have a few questions for you, some of which is elaborating on our conversation that we had. So, it's clear that you have the experience to do the job, seeing as you've done many facets of the job already. One of the pieces of our conversation that I found interesting that I wanted to kind of have in public forum is talking a little bit deeper about your experience. You mentioned to me that you had taken mental health training as part of your work. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how that serves as a resource?
Yes, so to be on the mental health list it's a bar advocate list in essence. So you have to go through a training. I actually went through the training twice because when I had that break in district court, when I took that job, my certification actually lapsed. So I had gone through it twice. So the training entailed, for me, the first time was at the MCLE place in right down the street here. And then the second time was at UMass in Worcester, UMass Hospital in Worcester. So it was a 3-day training. You're familiarized or training on the DSM-5, how to recognize, you're not recognizing mental health crises, but you are given training as to this is what schizophrenia is, this is what personalities disorders look like. And so that was all part of the training. The training also goes into medication, the effects and advantages and disadvantages of any medication that patients can be put on. It helped in many different ways, especially in my work as a bar advocate, taking criminal cases. A lot of times, as we all know, criminal cases begin with a mental health crisis. So once you are able to recognize that and speak with your client, ask them what's going on, maybe ask for funds to get further a mental health evaluation, maybe 15A and B type evaluation, then it can certainly help in criminal cases. But it didn't, not every mental health case that I was involved in involved a criminal case, but it certainly was helpful in those type cases.
How would you see yourself leveraging that training in this role as a clerk magistrate?
Well, I mean, oftentimes, and I think Sue was there yesterday, we had an individual come in to the our phone counter yesterday who I wouldn't say was in a mental health crisis, but she certainly was looking for help, guidance. She explained to us that she had been committed a number of times. She either wanted to file a suit or have her mental health record sealed. She didn't have a criminal record, but it was very advantageous to be able to speak with her in terms that she understood. We had a conversation about where she had been committed. I had been to some of those hospitals, and I was asking her about the medication that she was on and how she explained to me that they tweaked her meds and that she sent her into further crisis. At the end of the conversation, I think she was very comfortable with the guidance that I gave her. And I said, listen, here's a card for the Bar Advocate Program or the Barnstable Bar Advocate Program, not the Bar Advocate, Barnstable Bar Association Program. And I directed her to the law library just to do a little reading. We have an excellent librarian, Barnstable District Court. So she was very happy to be soon. came away satisfied that she got some good guidance.
So, prior to today, and you answered quite a few questions around your ability and experience, part of which was through the questionnaire process. And in the questionnaire, there's a question that asks, could you characterize your own views on how discretion ought to be exercised within this role? And you go on to say that you believe there should be creative resolutions during show cause or moving hearings. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what a creative solution might be in your eyes?
Sure. Young person comes into the district court charged with what I would consider a misdemeanor, whether, and I think we spoke about it last night, vandalizing property or some other, I wouldn't say petty crime, but annoying to some, but really something that you can get a little creative. And when I say that, I mean, you don't have to issue, a clerk magistrate does not have to issue a complaint, right? Clerk magistrate can hold a complaint in abeyance. He can ask a young person or really any person to comply with maybe some conditions if they agree to do that. All in the avoidance of giving someone a record, having it go in front of a judge, having him or her go in front of a judge. I think those type of solutions are really should be used. I mean, we do it in juvenile. When I was a juvenile prosecutor, we didn't use diversion that much. It wasn't a diversion program. You didn't meet with a representative of the DA's office and have to write a letter of apology or anything like that. But it did become, it came into favor. It's been used for quite a bit now. I think those type of dispositions after a magistrate's hearing should be used. I don't think young people or people who have who haven't been involved in the court system should be thrown into the fire on smaller or less than serious crimes.
My last question would be, what do you hope to accomplish as a magistrate?
Well, I think any clerk magistrate should hope to accomplish, helping people. That's really, it's a public service job. When you're in the court all day, every day, and you're in the clerk's office, again, like I said, the front counter of a district court can be extremely hectic. And I think the goal should be helping people. And when you think about the motto of the trial court, justice with dignity and speed, I think you should really be focused on public service, and that's I think that's what I hope we continue to do.
Councilor Kennedy.
As I indicated to you earlier, I've received a number of phone calls, retired Judge America, who I have a great deal of respect for. I've tried many cases over the years in front of him. One. Bob Kelly, the predecessor in the clerk's office, called me last night. Judge, and the landlord of Martha's Vineyard, Pine Law, former clerk of Salem District Court, who kind of retired down the Martha's Vineyard. Okay. So you've got a lot of support. There's more. The list goes on. As I indicated earlier, I have to vote for you, so get my voicemail fixed.
Right.
No, so you're going to be terrific, and I look forward to voting for you, and hopefully today.
Thank you very much. Certainly. Keep those kind words.
And I just want to say one other word about Anne Marie Lyons, who's been a real trooper there as the acting clerk. She's been my friend for a very long time, since she started in the Malden District Court. Yeah, she's been frustrated not being able to get back home faster, but hopefully she'll be there today.
Well, hopefully I can
thank her for what she's done.
I will, and hopefully I can tap into her, institutional knowledge and when I need help.
Good, pretty smart.
Certainly not afraid to ask for help, that's for sure.
Look, my phones keep going off. I just got a text from Judge Culhane. Bob Manning's a great guy. We work closely together in Barnstable. They don't stop.
Yeah,
You paying people.
I know.
Council DiPaolo.
Thank you, Counselor. Good morning and congratulations again. We had a good conversation yesterday, and as you'll recall, we talked about a lot of things that you just went through with Counselor Ziegler. So I'm not going to ask you any questions, but I anticipate supporting your nomination.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Council.
Thank you. Council Jacobs.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I also have been receiving some calls in support of you. The top one that comes to mind is Judge Callan reached out with his full-throated support on your behalf. I don't have any questions for you.
Thank you very much.
It was easy.
Yeah, right.
Council Dolan.
I'm feeling pressured now.
Thank you.
Alas, however, I want you to know Counselor Ferrer is a huge supporter of yours. That means a lot to me. And I just want to know that you're obviously very well qualified. You have all the fantastic experience to do this, but I also want to commend and thank you for your work as a public defender, for the work itself and also the perspective that you will therefore bring to the position. So I anticipate voting for you as well. Thank you.
That's work I always love to do.
And lastly, the Dean of the Council. Council Leonardo.
Good morning.
We had a nice conversation.
Yes, we did. Yes.
My good friend, your good friend, Howard Cahill, a strong supporter, known as the strongest Joe Ferrara. In that order, to be honest, he called me. I have no questions. I think you did do a great job.
Thank you very much.
That guy, I just said that, he's been a huge supporter.
I certainly appreciate that, everybody's support. I've had so much. To be honest with you, it's been a little overwhelming. And when I first met with Dara, I was like, where are all these people, coming out of? But as my mother used to say, reap what you sow. So I think I'm just very happy that, people have said so many kind words about me.
I can tell you, after Jesse interviewed you, he said, man, everybody loves that guy. So yeah, Liza called me, Judge Gilday called me. I got lots of calls from Merritt called me, texted me the other day, and it goes on and on and on. So you've certainly have a great reputation that you've earned. I didn't realize that you were 2 years after me at Southern New England School of Law.
Yes, yep.
Congratulations for sticking through that. When I went there, we went to 4 different buildings. We didn't have a building. So, but here we are. So congratulations on your nomination. You're gonna make an awesome clerk. I did get calls saying that they are very short-handed and shipping people over from Plymouth and other places to cover. And the fact that we're not gonna meet for a couple of weeks, I'm gonna ask the council to vote on you today. Then you can get sworn in as you deem appropriate with your boss. Assuming that you get the votes.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's it. This hearing is concluded. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Trying to get things started. I'd like to recognize Counselor Ianella for a moment of reflection and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
We seek blessings on the task before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decision with impartiality. Amen.
Right.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Happy April 1st. I'd like to recognize Counselor Ferreira for a motion to record advice and consent for the financial warrant.
So move, Governor.
Second.
Motion's made by Counselor Ferreira, seconded by Counselor Ziegler. All those in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to recognize Counselor Dolan for a motion to record advice and consent for the pending list of notaries public and justices of the peace.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Jacobs. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. I would like to now recognize Counselor Jacobs for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Mary Gallant Coty to the position of Associate Justice in the District Court.
Juvenile court.
I'm sorry, Juvenile Court.
Happen if I made that move.
I know. Yeah.
I'm very happy to make that motion. Thank you.
Motion made by Counselor Jacobs, seconded by Counselor DiPaolo. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, I would ask Sonia to please help us and call the roll.
Counselor Jacobs?
Yes.
Counselor Ferrera?
Yes.
Counselor Dolan?
Yes.
Counselor Yanella?
yes.
Counselor Sigler?
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy?
Yes.
Counselor DePaulo?
Yes.
We have 7 members voting, 7 in the affirmative, the matter carries. I'd now like to recognize Counselor Ianella for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of John Reardon to the position of Clerk Magistrate in Stoughton District Court.
Thank you. So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Ziegler. Any further questions? Seeing none, Sonia, could I ask you to please call the roll?
Yes. Counselor Yanella?
This is on John Reardon. Stoughton.
Thank you very
Say
much.
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Sigler?
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy?
Yes.
Counselor DePaulo?
Yes.
Counselor Jacobs?
Yes.
Counselor Ferrera?
Yes.
Counselor Dolan?
Yes.
7 members voting, 7 members in the affirmative, the matter carries. I'd now like to recognize Counselor Ferreira for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Robert Manning Jr. to the position of Clerk Magistrate in the Edgartown District Court.
I'm extremely pleased to make that motion, Governor. Thank you for nominating such a fine individual. He's going to do a great job on Martha's Vineyard for us.
Excellent. Motion's been made, seconded by Counselor DiPaolo. Any further questions? Counselor Jacobs?
Just a comment. I've said it before, so I'll just be kind of a broken record, but I don't like that we vote immediately following a hearing on a nominee. I think today of all days demonstrates that frequently people are not aware of nomination process until we have our public hearing. And there are occasions where opposition comes in after the hearing, and by rushing to vote, we eliminate that opportunity to add to our diligence and our deliberation, opposition that may well exist in the world. And I'm not suggesting that it does in this instance, but just as a point of procedure. So just FYI, present on this one.
Understood. Any other questions?
But in this particular instance, it is an island. They are sending people out there every day. They're really shorthanded. I got calls from judges that they really need a clerk out there. And we're not going to be able to vote in the assembly for a couple of weeks now. So this will help everyone out and actually save the Commonwealth money of shipping people to the island every day and speed up the process. I spoke to a couple of judges out there and they're just really shorthanded. So I appreciate that.
Understood. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Sonia, could you please call the roll?
Counselor Ferrera?
Yes.
Counselor Dolan?
Yes.
Counselor Yanella?
Yes.
Counselor Sigler?
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy?
Yes.
Counselor DePaulo?
Yes.
Counselor Sigler?
Present.
7 members voting, 6 in the affirmative. The matter carries in the matter of Clerk Magistrate of Edgartown District Court. I'd now like to recognize Counselor Kennedy for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Mary Ferreter to the position of Associate Justice in the Probate and Family.
So move, Governor.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Dolan. Any further questions? Seeing none, I'd ask.
I do, I'm sorry, oh my gosh, but I do actually just wanna, add my comment on this particular, appointment. This is an instance where it wasn't until our public hearing that, people became aware of a nominee, and I'm sure I'm not alone in having my inbox flooded with opposition that is both systemic on the probate and family court issues surrounding that court, but very specific experiences of this specific nominee in her work at the Mary James College program on parental unification. I'm not sure what it was called, but very specific experiences of her and how she conducted her work in that role. I had a secondary concern with her already prior to that outreach, both, and I wasn't satisfied with the conversation I had privately or at the hearing in answer to my questions about that program. But also probate and family court is one of those courts where the vast majority of people coming to court are self-represented. And she really struggled with access to justice-oriented language and talking about her work. So just things like pro se versus self-represented statutes versus what does that mean? So for those reasons, I am a no on her today.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, motion has been made and seconded. I'd ask Sonia to please call the roll.
Counselor Kennedy?
Yes.
Counselor DePaulo?
No.
Counselor Jacobs?
No.
Counselor Ferrera?
Yes.
Counselor Dolan?
Yes.
Counselor Anella?
Yes.
Counselor Sigler?
No.
In this matter, the votes having been made, we've got 4 in favor and 3 opposed, and that means the matter carries. I think that concludes our business. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Made by Counselor Jacobs, seconded by Counselor DePaul. All those in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Stand adjourned.
Stop the, right away. For those of you who don't know me, if there's anybody here, my name is Terrence Kennedy. I'll be chairing this hearing. I'm gonna start by reading a letter from the governor dated March 11, 2026 to the Executive Council, State House, Boston, Mass. Dear councilors, I am pleased to nominate Michelle Licciardi, to the position of Associate Justice of the Boston Municipal Court. I submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm enclosing the nominee's resume for your convenience. Sincerely, Mara T. Ely. Do you have a copy of this?
Do not have a mind.
You do now.
Thank you.
There you go. Okay, I'm gonna start by introducing the councilors that are present. Everybody's here, people floating around. It's here. We have Council Ianella, we have Council Ziegler, we have Council DiPaolo. We have Council Ferreira. Council Dolan stepped right outside, as did Council Jacobs. They'll be right in, okay? So why don't you introduce everybody you brought here?
First and foremost, I'd like to introduce my people that are going to speaking on my behalf, the Honorable Judge Catherine Byrne, as well as my good friend Tom Belmonte.
This is the first time I've seen her not annoyed at me in a long time.
Give it a minute.
Another good friend of mine, Attorney Brian Donegan, my husband, Emilio Licciardi, my mother, Rosemary Smith, my stepmother, Beverly Donovan, my dad, Paul Donovan, my oldest daughter, Ava Licciardi. My younger daughter is
She was the one who had the comment on my big stomach.
she's the family comedian. My younger daughter is joining us via YouTube from Florence, Italy, as well as my stepfather from Naples, Florida, and my good friend Elise Hirshon.
Okay, now, we're gonna start with your first witness, the Honorable Catherine Byrne. Welcome back, Judge. Come on over, sit next to her. You remember the routine from, how long has it been?
Let's see, like 13 years, I guess.
One,
It's been a while.
almost five.
Getting old.
Just keep working on it, you catch up to me.
Do you want me to sit or should I stand?
No, you can do whatever you like, sitting is fine.
Okay, all right, so my name is Catherine Byrne. I am the first justice in the Somerville District Court. I'm delighted to be here to speak on behalf of Attorney Michelle Licciardi. Attorney Licciardi regularly appears before me as a bar advocate, and I've come to know her over my 13 years as a judge. In preparing these remarks, I reread something that I was given when I became a judge, which is called Excellent Judges by Chief Justice Hennessy. And you may be familiar with it, but it was written in 1997, which to me feels like just yesterday. But I'm beginning to realize that perhaps I'm becoming a dinosaur because it's almost 25 years old now. And it turns out when I read that Michelle Licciardi has all the necessary qualities to become an excellent judge, including integrity, courage, humility, courtesy, knowledge of the law, open-mindedness, common sense, and practical wisdom. I know her to be a dedicated public servant. She works in the Somerville District Court mostly as a bar advocate, and she's patient, compassionate, and fair. One of her most admirable qualities is her willingness and skills to take on the most difficult cases. In the district court, you may know that that's not murder and rape cases. The most difficult cases that we have are the ones where the defendant suffers from mental illness, where the defendant is poor, homeless, has alienated his entire family and doesn't have a friend in the world and doesn't want any help from anybody. Those are the difficult cases. And these are the cases where the defendant doesn't trust lawyers or want anyone's help. These are the cases where I can count on Attorney Licciardi to take on this kind of a case and do a fabulous job for this person. Often getting them help that they need and some kind of justice. And you will often hear me saying to the clerk, is Michelle Licciardi around? Can we find Michelle Licciardi? Because
She's not me around anymore.
this is a case for Attorney Licciardi.
She's always willing to competently and compassionately represent those who have no voice. In conclusion, Attorney Michelle Licciardi has everything it takes to be an outstanding and excellent judge, and I, for one, am going to miss her.
Thank you, Judge. That was great. Any questions for Judge Byrne? Thank you very much. We appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow, the next day or something. Okay, next, we have the esteemed Attorney Thomas Belmonte, Melrose.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, council members, guests. It's my great privilege to be here today on behalf of my colleague and friend, Michelle Licciardi. At the risk of showing my age, we've known each other over 35 years now. I've had the chance to see her as a student where she worked very hard, was quite insightful, and was approachable by friends like me with a question at 10 at night. She then continued to do her work while going to school. And before we knew it, we were all in Suffolk Law School together. We've now been practicing general practice now for many years. I know Michelle did more civil in her earlier years than criminal now. But I have seen her practice in the district court, the superior court. She's handled all different types of matters of different complexity, and she's brought what I think is the right approach to each of those matters. She treats people with respect. She treats them with courtesy. I believe she has the appropriate temperament to be a Boston Municipal Court judge. I would simply end by saying that if I were to look at the number of colleagues I have and the way that they conduct themselves, Michelle brings, I think, credit, esteem to the bar. And I wholeheartedly recommend her for the position.
Thank you, Attorney Belmonte. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you very much.
Short to the point, thank you.
It's recommended.
What's the most important part of the land, the law of brevity?
That's it, it's good.
Okay, now, that concludes the witnesses in favor of the nominee. Are there any witnesses in opposition, Ava? That concludes that part of the hearing. The floor is yours, Michelle.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to first extend my thanks to Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for the honor of my nomination. I would like to thank the JNC for their tireless commitment to the betterment of the judiciary. I would like to thank Governor Healy's Chief Legal Counsel, Jesse Boudou, Deputy Legal Counsel, Dara Kesselheim, Administrative Secretary Sonia Altamirano, and Kimberly Baptiste, and their entire staff for their support and guidance throughout this whole process. Thank you to Judge Byrne and Attorney Belmonte. I'm truly humbled by your kind words. And I would like to thank you, the members of the Governor's Council, for your dedication, careful consideration of not only me, but all the nominees who come before you, and especially to my counselor, Counselor Kennedy, who without his support, guidance, and encouragement and impeccably clean floors, I would not be here today. I began my career as a 303 student attorney at the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court, and for almost 3 decades, the village that I have come to call my own has become the Boston Municipal Court, the Malden District Court, the Somerville District Court, and the Cambridge District Court. Together, they have some of the finest clerks, judges, probation officers, clinicians, court officers, and attorneys in the Commonwealth. To my colleagues that have become friends, and friends that have become family, thank you for the decades of love, friendship, and support. To my parents, Mom, you are the epitome of strength and compassion. Thank you for being a role model for the girls and I. To Dad and Bev, thank you for being the embodiment of unconditional love and family unity. And to Bill, thank you for being a fantastic addition to this crazy crew. To my grandmother, Nana, you have taught me too many life lessons to count, but most importantly, you have shown by example what it means to live a life in service to others. To my beautiful daughters, Ava and Ariana, raising you has truly been the greatest privilege of my life, and you make me proud every day. And to my husband, you have always been my rock. You are the foundation that our beautiful life is built on, and I'm eternally grateful. In June of 1972, a single mother made what I can only imagine was an agonizing decision to give her baby girl up for adoption. I came into this world unwanted, homeless, and with no family. It wasn't until 6 months later when somebody from Boston Children's Service and Catholic Charities reached out to a young couple anxiously awaiting a baby. And I'm not sure if it was my infantile cuteness or their sheer desperation for a baby. But in 1972, Paul and Rosemary Donovan decided that from then on, I would be their daughter. That series of decisions changed the course of my life for the better. And then when I was 8, they made the decision to end their marriage. Another decision that would forever change my life by adding stepfamilies to call my own. On my dad's side, I gained a wonderful and loving stepmother, and I went from being an only child to the oldest of 3, gaining 2 step-siblings. But it was my first stepfather, Attorney Richard D. LeMay, whose passion for the law was the biggest influence on my career. I have yet to meet anyone who is prouder to be a lawyer. On my days off from school, I would spend hours at his office right over here on 145 Tremont Street. I can still see him sitting at his desk, feet perched on the radiator, while he's on the phone looking over Boston Common, with a wall of Mass Reporter books and treatises on the shelves, stacks of files on his desk, and a photo of Abraham Lincoln on the wall. He was constantly telling me that there was no greater profession and no more noble way to make a living than the practice of law. He passed away from cancer when I was young. But because I constantly heard his voice echoing in my head, my decision to go to law school was, at that time, mostly about fulfilling the dying wish that he had for me. And I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. Looking back, he was right, and his passion for the law and pride in the profession became mine. For someone who started her life with no family, I was happily living with more family than I could possibly dream of. I'm sure that nothing made my dad happier than when all 3 of us were grown with our own families, were together with his grandchildren and our young kids playing, and us as adults making fun of all the family memories we had. But like so many families, we were not immune from sadness, and we lost my brother to mental health and substance use disorder in 2015. Although I always knew it in my practice, having lost several clients over the years and getting way more certified death certificates than I ever should have on clients, this lived experience magnified the collateral consequence of this disease. It's not just the individual before the court who suffers, but the family and the community as well. And I can say that should I have the privilege of sitting on the bench, if at least one life is saved by my being there, then that is something that I will be proud of. Through my years of practice, I've had the pleasure of working with some of the most thoughtful, intelligent, and dedicated people you could ever find in any profession. They've inspired me every day to be a better lawyer and taught me what kind of a judge I want to be. People often speak of core memories, that one event that stands out above the rest and becomes unforgettable. For me, it was the portrait dedication for the late Judge Lee Johnson, First Justice of the Malden District Court. As I was sitting in that packed courtroom, standing room only courtroom, I looked around and I saw judges, police chiefs, court administrators, lawyers, staff, and local politicians. In that moment, I knew exactly what my stepfather meant. Despite their different roles, everyone in that room shared one common goal: to make the community court a place where people feel safe, heard, and respected. A place where justice, accountability, and the rule of law intersect with humanity, empathy, and compassion. With great privilege comes great responsibility. And should I be privileged to sit on the bench and serve the communities of the Boston Municipal Court, it is that judicial philosophy and those principles that will guide me in all the decisions that I make. I thank you for your continued consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great job, Michelle. Councilor Ferrara, if there's no objection, I ask if you could go first.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The gentleman to my left is a huge supporter of yours, which speaks volumes to me. He called me early on and twisted my arm, and he's threatened me. I have to vote for you next week, so you're gonna be a great judge.
We got one. To see how we keep doing. And I know Councilor Iannella had to leave too, so he asked if he could,
Thank you very much. No questions. We had a lengthy conversation on the telephone, you answered all my questions. He's your supporter right there, nobody bigger than Terry Kennedy. He's a strong supporter. When your name comes before the council, you can count on me.
Thank you very much.
Council DePaolo.
Now it gets trickier, right? Good morning, congratulations,
Thank
good
you.
afternoon. We had a good conversation. You had your statement, which I apologize, I was out of the room for the first half of, but such a clear articulation of the empathy and the perspective that you have guided your career. We talked a little bit about diversion programs and some of the specifics that you had experience with. So I wonder if, for the sake of the hearing, you could talk a little bit about prioritizing diversion, how you kind of try to tailor it to an individual.
Absolutely. I think diversion programs are excellent, particularly for young and emerging adults and individuals that have not been before the court. I think they're a great way to access community resources and partner with community programs to give individuals an individualized set of resources to help them reduce recidivism and just overall engage the community support in helping somebody become a better version of themselves, and in turn uplifting the entire community. So I'm a big supporter of those type of programs.
We had talked about the specific example of the Track for Change pilot that was going on at a particular time that may or may not be going on anymore. Maybe definitely isn't actually, or.
I actually had a great conversation after we spoke with the Chief Probation Officer of Cambridge District Court.
Alrighty.
And it is something that is going to continue to go.
Oh, cool.
So we talked a lot about how it works and how it's set up, and it's a great program, and it's one of those individual programs to engage both the judges and court staff with the community to help in positive ways to help people kind of get out from under their issues.
I mean, it's really obvious to me, you understand the needs of the folks coming into the court. I will indeed look forward to supporting you.
Thank you.
When your name's put forward. Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Council Jacobs.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you as well.
Thank you so much for making the slog on out to sit down with me.
And surviving the hairpin turn.
Yes.
You had good weather.
Yes.
But we had a great conversation and we talked about a lot of things. I was also going to ask you about diversion programs, but so rather than repeat exactly what the prior questions were, staying in that landscape, just sort of redirecting a little bit. I'm curious how you would go about ensuring that the programs available in the communities that you would be presiding surrounded by, that the programs that you have access to use for diversion are effective, are valid, are research-based, are doing the kinds of actually creating the kinds of outcomes we would want to see by sending people to those kinds of programs. So just in terms of like your own thoughts about how you might vet or become familiar with the available options.
Well, I think it's important for all judges to do a lot of thorough research to make sure that the programs that are in the community are appropriate for what the needs of the community are. So as a sitting judge, that was something that I would do. I would reach out to all of the local programs and try and tailor which ones are most appropriate for what the needs of the community are. So I think that's something that I would actively do. As a judge, you're a lifelong learner anyways. So always learning about what the new programs are and the research-based programs and see how they can be useful to tailor the needs of that community.
That segues so beautifully into my next question. So thank you for that. As a lifelong learner, I'm just curious what approach you might take and how you would ensure that you were tapped into emerging new science or emerging new research data around relevant areas of focus that come through the court.
Well, I think
Be it substance, be it mental health, like just, how would you stay up on the newest incoming understanding on these things?
I think it's important to use all the resources that are available, whether it's, treatises and research books and lectures and every resource that you can pull from. Because you do have an obligation to be a lifelong learner and to, kind of adapt with the changes in technology and in science and brain development and things like that. So every resource that you have, that I have anyways, I would pull from to make sure that I was the most knowledgeable that I could be with whatever the issues are that presented.
No, I appreciate that. I love talking to you when you came out. You're as I am having the same response to you here, so it's just been lovely getting to know you, and those are all the questions that I have today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Dolan.
Thank you so much. Counselor Kennedy has been raving about you for a very long time, honestly. So he really didn't have to say anything to me when you were nominated. The work was already done. I don't have a lot of questions for you. But as we discussed, sometimes judges have to make decisions that may be unpopular and that are difficult to make and require a certain amount of courage. And it's really important that judges are ready, willing, and able to show that kind of courage. And so we had talked about long motions, which you said you haven't filed one, but you're taking all the CLEs. And we talked about sort of the larger issue, which is judges really calling out police misconduct when they see it. So can you just share with all of us what we talked about?
Absolutely. The first and most important thing is you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So it's important that if, for example, as we spoke, if there was a search of an individual that was not constitutional, not constitutionally appropriate, their rights were violated, it's important to recognize that, as suppression of the unconstitutionally discovered evidence and things of that nature. I think it's important that in anyone that's accused of a crime be offered a fair and impartial opportunity to defend, as well as making sure that the constitutional rights of everybody are protected, and that's my role as a judge. So if there has been some sense of misconduct or some illegal searches, I think it's imperative that myself and any judge would call that out in terms of suppression or whatever the tools are that may be available.
Thank you. I think it'll be terrific, and I look forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Counselor Ziegler.
Thank you. Congratulations on your
Thank you very much.
nomination. And thank you for taking the time to speak with me. I enjoyed our conversation. As well as the attachments for you, kind of building upon our conversation prior. So, it's clear you have the experience necessary to the job. Can you, in your experience, can you talk about your most challenging case that you presided over, or that you handled, I should say, and how that has shaped you as a practitioner, and how you feel that will impact your role should you be?
And we spoke about this, and it's really an excellent question, because I had a case a long time ago in the Somerville District Court where there was an individual who had both mental health issues as well as cognitive issues. And we were trying to get him the services that he needed. It was very difficult because the Department of Disability Services wouldn't provide services because of his mental health issues, and the Department of Mental Health wouldn't provide services because of his disability issues. And it was something that we had such a difficult time getting the services that he needed. And luckily, we were able to, at least together with the probation department and the judge and the prosecutor and I, were able to kind of work with him within the bounds of what we were able to do, which was limited to the extent of, the judge was fabulous in showing compassion and realizing that this individual didn't have the mental capacity to confine his behavior to even abide by conditions of release. And it was that compassion that I learned from that, as well as the limitations of what a community court can do as far as getting somebody the services they need. So I learned a lot to the limitations of what the community court can do, and also how to be compassionate and recognize somebody who really does have struggles and can't get the services they need.
Part of the role of judges to connect persons who come before them with necessary resources. We know that there are resources available, but there could always be. What resources do you see should be expanded upon?
I think there's a lot of room for expansion of resources. I think a lot of community collaboration is important. So a lot of the resources, as long as there are significant resources for people who are housing insecure. If somebody doesn't have a roof over their head, coming to court is not their first priority. So I think making sure that people are safe in their communities and have the resources they need is housing. Mental health is always something that could be added to, substance use disorder. People really suffer from that. So I think if you could add to those in the community and as a judge partner with those community programs to make sure that people have what they need, that would be one of my main priorities.
And my last question is, one of the comments we hear at the court is that many delays in terms of cases getting heard or moving through the docket. From the bench, how would you seek to make inroads and ensure that the court is operating efficiently?
I think it's important for every hearing and every issue, every court date to be a meaningful one. So in that sense, I would really rely on the people that are in the courtroom that are with me, the clerks, to make sure that all of the cases are ready, the attorneys. I think it's a collaborative effort to make sure that everybody is prepared and I'm aware of the issues so that I can handle them expeditiously and judiciously. So I think it's a collaborative issue to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Court officers to make sure that there's safety, attorneys to make sure that they're ready, clerks have everything they need, probation has everything they need. So it starts from me making sure that everybody has what they need to make sure that the courtroom runs efficiently.
Get your answers.
Thank you. You're pretty much done. You're going to Italy tomorrow, huh? Where you're gonna spend every day eating, just thinking the vote's coming, the vote's coming. You won't be able to think about anything else, but you can count. You already got them. You got a couple other supporters here, and there's one that I want to mention that wanted to be here, which was Alicia. My daughter, they're friends. Okay. Set.
Yeah. Thank you.